Greetings, Tubetonians, you and otherwise. Short talk by the Rio with the old guy again. Had to park under a tree here because once this screen thing gets out in the sunshine, I cannot see anything. So we're going to roll it around so you can kind of take a look at what I'm seeing. It's just a nice little bikeway kind of thing. Haven't seen any bikers out here this afternoon, but I was the only car in the lot behind me. It's a warm one. I'm guessing it's probably in the mid to high 90s, but it doesn't feel that bad. I put on my head rag, as you could see a little minute ago, and to give you an idea what the view of the area looks like down here, I'm just going to try to move slow. There's your Oregon mountains over there. Down about that way is El Paso, Juarez. Huge metro area down there. That's what the trail looks like in reverse. So anyway, I just thought, this will be my last day off, I hope, for a while. I mean, work day wise. And I do like working, so I hope this works out. Anyhow, we'll see. The point is that I thought, well, you know what I really wanted? There's a place in this area right here. It's actually technically in the little town adjacent to Cruces called Mesilla. There's a place in there called a Quick Stop by the name of Shorty's. When you get to the corner of University, which is currently out of order, they've destroyed it again, and Highway 28, which is the same as Avenida de Mesilla, don't ask me. There's a little Quick Stop in there, right beside Spotted Dog, and my golly, that guy in there can make a burrito. I ordered a steak and potato, cheese and chili, nature's most perfect substance. And then they wanted to know, do you want hot chili or mild? I said, well, hot, sure, let's try that. And it wasn't hot, but gosh, that was a good burrito. So I sat down here by the parking area. Of course, as soon as I sat down at the park bench, all my little packages of pepper took off. The wind isn't hardly moving out here, but it is enough to pick up a pepper package and throw it 4 feet away from you. So I was fooling around with that. Add the burrito, and gosh, it's nice out here. Beautiful skies today. I'll let you take a look at that stuff. I like looking at clouds sometimes. It's kind of going to be real bright right there. Anyhow, just thought I'd do a little addendum to today's porch broadcast, and I've looked it over and I agree with it, so that's why. Hey, take a look at this. I want to show you this thing. These little gizmos, whatever that is, it comes off of one of the weeds around here. I hope you can see it. Maybe I should go over into the shade because this screen is completely blanked out from my perspective. Let's see if I can see this. People actually save these things. I don't know what the heck for, but I just saw one laying on the ground. Probably has a name, and people do like kind of artistic stuff with it, I guess. I don't know. And one of my favorite sounds, poplar leaves. Ready? Listen. Sounds a little bit like rain on a rooftop, but not quite. Anyhow, thinking about today's little video, I always review them and take a look and say, well, do I even agree with this stuff? And I thought, it was an okay vid, so I left it alone. But I just got to thinking about it. The times we're living in right now, I mean, now, you and me, now, here, during this world, in this lifetime, no holograms allowed. This is the real deal. We're playing for keeps. There's no overs. There's no second chance. Either you pay attention or you don't. And there's so many that are not paying attention, and how can you tell? Because in the halls of power, as it's called, power's a hell. And in the halls of power, I mean, it's just grotesque. It's like Murder for Profit, Inc. It'd be a little bit like comparing it to the mafia, except that's an insult to the mafia. I mean, seriously. The mafia has more class. The mafia it's more wholesome and family friendly, I mean, good God. These traitors. And so anyhow, the so-called administration had the poodle over there in Vietnam, where he was incoherently mumbling his usual nonsense. I mean, the guy, he doesn't even have two sticks to rub together in order to strike a fire in his head. The boy, he's out to lunch, plus being as crooked as the day is long. And he's in charge of Murder Inc. these days, aka the U.S. government. We've got an evil agency in this earth, and it's a little bit like the Nazi regime of old. Now, it hasn't gone full tilt yet into Gulag. Well, that Gulag's more Soviet. The Germans called them concentration camps. Sort of like concentrate on trying to survive, if you don't mind. And when the Allies broke through and released the prisoners who were in these camps, I mean, there's photographs from back then, the Jews and the survivors, I don't know if they were all Jews, who were released by the GIs. I mean, these guys were thinner than thin. I mean, I think they were surviving on something like 500 calories a day average. Meanwhile, you burn about 13 to 1800 just to breathe. That doesn't include moving around. And so they were badly, badly starved and, horribly thin. And yet some of them survived. Well, that was what AH and his disgusting regime built. We haven't quite got that far yet, but they've already built camps for the kids. These poor little scooters who are coming across the border, being separated from their parents, sent to old Walmarts, thanks Wally, and as at these impromptu prisons. And then the children are being sold. The government's involved in this. It's not like the federal authorities have set out, to discover and overthrow these kinds of activities. Oh no, they're making money off it. Just like the CIA used to do years ago, probably still do, with the drug trade. And anyhow, hope this don't get a hit on the old, hocus pocus meter. Because, everything's speculative, everything's opinion, and everything's hearsay, don't you know? And opinion conflicts with opinion. And the official version is that the so-called administration in D.C. is actually popularly elected in the most incredible massive landslide of all time, 81 million votes. Never mind the fact that when you add those votes to the Trump votes, which were recorded and not thrown away, that exceeds the number of voters on the rolls. So, of course, we always expect the Democrats to have a massive revival, and every 4 years, or at least every 4, maybe every 2 if need be, the dead show up in mass, in numbers. And so there's actually a dispute right now about whether or not remote voting, by mail, should be allowed in this go-around, and should it be in Arizona, for instance. A judge came down recently and said that the signatures must match. The signature on the voter card that is kept on file at the Bureau of Elections, or whoever that is, county clerk or somebody. The ballot which shows up by U.S. mail, the signatures must match. And, of course, the Dems are trying to dodge that real hard. And they don't want to release, in Arizona, the original files which show the original signatures because they know they don't match. They had the same guy sitting out signing all these names. I mean, just sat around filling out ballots all day, signing other people's names. But what they do is they go through the voter registration and the voter participation. They know the people already who probably are, although they're registered to vote, probably won't because they haven't historically. Well, guess what? It's those guys that show up in massive numbers. And so our system here is broken, and in my opinion, it's irreparably broken. I mean, these people have basically thrown the Constitution in the dustbin of history. And what that means is what we're looking forward to, and I'm not looking forward to it, but I mean, what's ahead of us in time has to do with really a disgusting level of treachery being carried out. I love looking at this kind of stuff right here. Something about moving water. By golly, if that doesn't attract you, something's wrong with you. Yeah, I got a lot of weeds here. There were some weeds over here the other day. I don't see any here right now. There were some people, they happened to be walking by, and I'd never seen such a thing. Big white flowers. The lady said those are hallucinogenic and poisonous. And I thought, well, remind me to avoid eating them. But at any rate, whatever that junk is, I don't even know what it is down here by the Rio. But I asked him, I said, well, if you had a goat or a cow, you know, and it was grazing, just chewing on green stuff, what would it make them sick? Would it kill them? They said it could do both. It's a powerful, powerful chemical in there. And there used to be one I used to know about down here from the Carlos Castaneda books, the sorcerer books. This is like more than 30 years ago. Tales of Ixtlan, and I can't remember the other titles. There was about 4 or 5 or 6 books in that series. Anyway, they were into all that hallucinogenic junk. And Jimson weed was a sorcerer's drug, I guess. So too the same with peyote. And for reasons like that, I've always steered away from that stuff. When I was a kid, LSD was a big deal in the 60s, and heroin and all that crap. But I could never make myself believe that such a thing which ruins lives and destroys people might be a wise idea to try out, you know what I mean? I like looking at them hills over there. Do a little zoom boom here. See if I can stretch it up here. Where the heck did we go? Got lost. There, well, the focus ain't great. I love that raggedy, rocky stuff up there. Up in the Albuquerque area, outside the city, is the Sandias and the Manzanos down a little bit south. And they're way more impressive hills than that, but I still like the kind of the rocky shield thrown up there. There was a heck of an upthrust there. I really can't imagine how much horsepower was involved. Ergs, newtons, or otherwise, measurements of physics. But it was apparently pretty impressive to hurl those rocks up in the air like that. And so I just kind of wanted to kind of fill out a little bit more on today's earlier video. And it just seems to me that with the way things are going, the church is not in a position anymore to object to what's what. She has essentially squandered her opportunity to come out as a spokes crowd, a spokes group, a spokes person for the oppressed, for those who are being burnt out of their homes, poodle, in Maui. And the church just doesn't have comment on it. It has nothing to say. There's a little bench right here. I like to kind of sit down here sometimes. I might be, maybe if you squint. See, there's a deal that says 2 miles here, so I don't know. Somebody marked it, but I believe it's from down there at the Picacho crossing, which is probably about 2 miles from here. Coincidence. And I guess the city or somebody comes out and picks up the trash. Today when I pulled in, I saw a city truck, and he was driving right down that road. I'm guessing they were... All right, gotta let you take a look at this. Now, this is only one half of the Rio. That thing right there... Oops, sorry, too much finger. That thing right there is a kind of a little island dealie. And this is about half or 2/3 of the flow of the river. I like sitting down beside moving water. If you listen carefully, you can hear some birds. Little guys. Somewhere off to my left. I'm probably out looking for lunch, you know, whatever birds do. And so anyhow, getting back to our little narrative, which isn't going anywhere. Boy, that itches. I keep wondering if I'm getting bit by bugs down here all the time. It's like, why does my arm itch so much? The other day I was down this way. I couldn't believe it. You know how all of a sudden, right in the middle of the center of your back, kind of between your shoulder blades, just about where you can't reach, why is the ditch there? I mean, the one place I can't reach with my arms. So I was, acting like a bear and just kind of getting up next to a tree with the tree bark and kind of rubbing my back because it's like, why does that itch so much? But it's funny, I think this year is kind of allergy season down here this time of year. My eyes were kind of blown up and I was sneezing and stuff the other day, and I thought, what is that about? I guess there's fish in there. I don't really know how a fish gets through that gate up at Elephant Butte or Caballo for that matter, but I guess they can sneak on through. And the Rio continues to flow south. This is a lot of water they're dumping this year, a lot. Usually they shut it off by now. The irrigation is just about done. I came by one of the ditches the other day, which usually is a pretty reliable guess because it's kind of one of the main trunks of irrigation. That sucker was dried up, bone dry. So they've stopped irrigating, which means the district says you're done taking water for now. So I don't know why they keep letting the water go by, but I'm glad of it somehow. That bridge up ahead, we've discussed that before. That's the interstate. That's I-10, and the people going to your right are heading to Cruces, and the people going to your left are going, basically toward Deming, which is a little town, maybe 56 miles from here, something like that. There might be 14,000 people out there. I don't really know. It's not a big city, that's for sure. But anyhow, getting back briefly one more time to our non sequitur type discussion. The powers that be are busy right now trying to get ready to push that damned warped ass needle again and start in with their handkerchief policies as if that ever did anyone any good. Despite the science of the fact, you may as well try to stop a virus by putting up a chicken wire fence. I mean, work about as good. And yet they insist on this because it has to do with an idea of control, social control, and obedience in the light of tyrannical and, frankly, insane orders. And so there's a lot of people this time who are saying, we will not comply with your so-called masking rules. We will not comply with your lockdown and your garbage theory of how to ruin an economy in the name of public safety. And so that's encouraging to my heart, but they're still going to carry it off. And there will be people who line up once again. Never mind those fibrous clots. Never mind the myocardial infarctions. Infarctions, is that how you say it? I don't know. Little kids having heart attacks. Little kids. And even with all the evidence in, there's still people who actually believe these liars. I don't know. Maybe they're hypnotized or something. But that's not for me to sort out. That's not for me to judge. My business is to, as far as I can, to guide my life and my conduct in such a way that I give no offense in terms of lawlessness, but I may be very offensive indeed in terms of demanding justice and righteousness in the earth, especially from those who've been entrusted to carry it out. The executioner and the judge have been bribed. The police commissioner he's been bought and extorted. The town mayor has become a member of a cartel. I mean, the distinction between huge criminal organizations like drug cartels and the government is getting awfully thin. And the people, I believe, are wising up, generally speaking, but unless it's Jesus Christ who awakens them, it's just more kind of New Age mumbo-jumbo. You end up hearing stuff about, you need to raise your vibration in order to attract, magnetically, I guess, manifest, that's it, manifest wealth and riches and ease in your life. Is that what it's about, really? Is that it? To manifest wealth and ease? Nah, it's to manifest courage and integrity. And almost nobody's interested unless he has gotten to them, unless the Savior has spoken into their lives. And he does, oh yes, every day. And he continues to do so because he's good. So I just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of a completing idea, if that's allowable, to a previous video. And the thing is that what we've got is a government who's essentially killing its own citizens for profit. That would be the United States of America, the administration called Joe Biden Inc., that criminal cartel. And I just hope that people can understand that the government was never designed to be that corrupt. And this thing cannot stand. It cannot endure long. For the judge of the living and the dead is jealous for his own integrity. He's the one who has placed authorities in this earth and has called them to judge well and to judge right and to do his version of the right way. And, well, every government on the planet basically bailed out on that. But the government of the Estados Unidos is deeply, deeply condemned. I call them wicked. I call them slaves of hellions, and shall not be trusted. And whatever this happens to my life because of these words, they nonetheless had to be said. And I don't go far enough, to be honest with you. People need to hang by the neck until dead. Capital punishment needs to be revived and applied judiciously, wisely, and thoroughly. It's the only way to root this crap out, and that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. But what will happen is new kinds of gulags, which the Soviets never knew of, but the Americans are going to reinvent. We'll call them FEMA camps, I guess, if you want. But they're prisons nonetheless. So I guess I'm trying to get into prison. Trying to say enough spurious things that the authorities think, hey, that guy's dangerous. We better lock him up. That's what I'm looking for. Because I think inside of a federal or international jurisdiction prison type thing, however bad that would be, for mere security purposes, it might be one of the safest places to be in the years that are coming. Sometimes I see too far. But I don't give up. Why? Because he never gives up on me. Or you. He's the one. He's the goal. He's the prize. He's the thing we need to seek at the center. It isn't principles. It isn't loyalty. It isn't courage. Ultimately, all those are abstractions. He is in principle and in reality the source code for all that is, was, and ever shall be, and for life itself at the very minimum. And all things spring from his goodness. All things are gifts of his. And so we have to learn to give thanks in the ugly, the dark, and the nasty, which is what they're brewing. And to praise the Lord in ways that are new to us. A newly revived conscience, a newly strengthened self. I'm coming up on that bridge I want to say over there. It's kind of just shy of 3/4 of a mile. Just want to get in the shade here for a minute. Ugh. 3/4 of a mile puts me 1.5 miles to get back. That's about 300 calories down, kind of, sort of, if you squint. And I know I had on that burrito probably a good 350. So I think I'm going to just turn around. It's getting kind of hot out here, and I'm old. So you guys enjoy your day, and remember, everything's a gift. And if we begin to treat it that way, we are able, by His Spirit, to render our sacrifices. And what we owe is a sacrifice of thanksgiving. And I give it right now. Thank you, Jesus. You're the best. You're the best of the best. And thanks for your kindness. Thanks for your love. Rock on.